I want to be able to look at my grandchildren before I die and say, honestly, I did my best. And if we all do our best, we're going to make a difference. So, my reasons for hope are very simple. The human brain, we are coming up with new ways of doing things that are less destructive to the environment, whether that applies to industry or agriculture, the big movement for organic food, for example, or biofood, and the human brain linked to the human heart. Because how is it that arguably the most intelligent creature that's ever walked this planet, Homo sapiens, how is it that with our amazing brains we are destroying our only planet? It was E.O. Wilson who first said that if everybody on this planet attains the standard of living of the ordinary European or American, we need 3 new planets. It's 4 now. But we don't have 3 or 4 new planets. We've got this one. So do you think there can be some disconnect between this very clever brain, capable of all kinds of extraordinary things, taking people to the moon, and this human heart, thinking of our heart as the place for love and compassion? So somehow something went wrong, and we need to join up our brain with our heart again and allow the ice in the heart to melt. So my second reason for hope is the extraordinary resilience of nature. You can destroy a place and give it time and perhaps some help, and restoration will begin. And the best example, or the one I want to give you now, is this desolated land around Gombe National Park. When we began this Take Care program, the trees outside the park had gone. The only ones there were those that were the trees that had been planted for shade, and they were exotic. They came from outside. They weren't good for the land. But as people in the villages began to understand, as they were lifted out of this abject poverty, so they began to help. And today, around many of these 24 villages, you see what we call take care forests springing up out of the seemingly dead land. The resilience in this part of the world, a seemingly dead tree stump, if you leave it alone and stop hacking it for firewood, within 5 years you have a 30-foot tree. And the people are more prosperous, their projects are all environmentally sustainable, they understand the need to conserve the water table, and so many of the villages have agreed to leave between 10 and 20% of their village land to regenerate, so that the chimpanzees of Gombe once again can move out of the park like they used to and interact and exchange genes with other remnant groups outside the national park. That's hope. And that's happening in so many places around the world. Polluted, stinking rivers, like our River Thames going out through London 50 years ago. It was like a sewer, and there was nothing living in it. But now the fish are back, and the birds are breeding. We can restore nature. And then animals on the very brink of extinction can be given a second chance. Just 2 days ago, I was with Astrid, who's working with the Iberian lynx. And I saw her amazing program for breeding these lynx. And actually I have a lynx, but I forgot him over there. She gave me a toy lynx, which is a prototype. And I love it because it's made by disabled people, so it's kind of drawing them into saving the lynxes as well. And so I went out into the national park where the lynx are being reintroduced, so that the lynx is being given another chance, but it's up to everyone to make sure that the habitat where it's going to be reintroduced and is being introduced is safe into the future. And it's not safe right now. There's a golf course being planned there, and there are more and more areas being put aside for cultivation of strawberries under plastic sheets. If any of you have been to Seville, you will have seen that. So there's always this pressure of economic interest, people's jobs set against the natural world, and people with their houses sprawling out further and further into the country. So we have to get involved. We can't leave it to people like Astrid and all the others around the world who are working to save endangered species. We've got to get into the act. We've got to help. And you can't just leave it to governments either, because we elect the governments, at least in democracies we do. And only when more than 50% of the electorate is behind a tough decision to protect the environment will the politicians make the right decisions. So these are the very serious issues that are faced around the planet, but they're issues which we must address, and we as individuals must get involved. So my final reason for hope is this indomitable human spirit. These people who tackle seemingly impossible tasks and simply won't give up, and either succeed in their lifetime or blaze a trail for others to follow. And some of them are political figures. I mean, think of Nelson Mandela, coming out of prison, spending 17 years in hard physical labor, and having this extraordinary ability to forgive, so that he led his nation out of the evil of apartheid and there wasn't a bloodbath. But then there are all the people, like you were speaking about earlier, who are out there battling away day after day, saving their little piece of the natural world. The main message for Roots and Shoots is the main message for every single one of us, that we cannot live through a day, none of us can, without making an impact on the world around us. And we all have a choice. What sort of impact are we going to make? And so many people think about the problems in the world around them and feel helpless. They feel hopeless. They don't know what to do. And so they do nothing, and they put on blue